The real monster is not outside. The real monster is within. You thought the creatures that come out at night were the worst thing that could ever happen to this town. The episode titled of Myths and Monsters is here to tell you that when human beings get hungry enough, when they get scared enough, they become something far worse than anything lurking in the dark outside. The trailer dropped one line that stopped everyone cold. There was someone eating them after they died. The question we have to ask is this: did that happen in the past, during Victor's time? Or is there someone inside the town right now who has already started to change? Now let's dive into the hunger of the soul and the secret buried in the walls. The story opens with that single line from the trailer, and it does not feel like cheap horror. It tears apart everything we thought we understood about Fromville. We spent seasons believing the creatures kill for ritual or for sport. But the idea that cannibalism happened inside the town tells us the hunger in Fromville is not a hunger of the stomach. It is a hunger of the soul. And that takes us directly to Victor. The expressions on his face in this episode suggest he has seen this exact cycle play out before. Victor is the only person who survived the massacre 40 years ago. The drawings that appear in episode 4 of Myths and Monsters hint at something deeply disturbing. The people who died back then were not only victims of the creatures, they were victims of each other. Could the man in yellow have planted that instinct inside them deliberately, just to watch the monster rise up from within every human being? This leads us to the infection and the voices. Is Sara the ticking bomb? On another side of the town, Sara is still searching for some kind of redemption. But the voices in Season 4 are no longer whispers. They have become direct commands. The trailer warns us that what is happening to Sara could be contagious. Imagine for a moment that those voices began to migrate to Boyd or to Jim. The fear here is not death. The fear is that the voices have started feeding on people's memories. If Sara loses control, we are not facing a monster from the forest. We are facing a spy living inside the house, one who knows the exact weakness of every single person in that town. The shot in which Sara breaks down and says the voices will use her to torture everyone who is left behind confirms that these entities have found a new vessel, and they are going to spread terror in a way we have never seen before. Then we have the riddle of the drawings and the cursed memory. At the heart of the episode, we see a scene where Victor stands in front of a collection of old drawings. But this time he did not make them. These drawings depict dark events that took place before he was even born. The theory we are presenting here on DramaCrypt is that these drawings are a genetic map of the town. Every single image represents one cycle of death that repeats every number of years. When Victor looks at the drawing that depicts the act of cannibalism, we begin to understand that the monsters we see at night are not extraterrestrial beings, and they are not demons in the traditional sense. They are former human beings who were subjected to the ultimate moral hunger test, and they failed it. That failure is what transformed them into the creatures we see today. Victor understands that the man in yellow is trying to select a new successor who will restart this cycle from the beginning. The question is, who the candidate is this time. Now we move to Sophia and Julie Doyle. These characters have expanded significantly, and they have started noticing things in the forest that no one else has caught. In a brief flash, we see the look in Julie's eyes shift, as if some entity has started to take up residence inside her. There is a strong signal that the man in yellow is not searching for leaders like Boyd. He is searching for fragile souls, like young girls, to build his new mythology around them. The fear controlling the Doyle sisters is not the fear of the monsters knocking at the door. The fear is that they have started to understand the language of the town. If Julie or Sophia begin hearing the voices the way Sara does, then we are facing a fracture that will cause the townspeople to destroy each other before the creatures can ever reach them. Of Myths and Monsters does not only show us the monsters of the forest, it shows us the monsters growing inside our homes while we are not even paying attention. But what about Boyd and the collapse? Has the rule of law finally ended? In the middle of all this chaos, we find Boyd Stevens facing his worst nightmare. Boyd has always been the compass, the leader, the anchor. But he has started to feel the grip slipping right out from under his hands. Why? Because the threat this time is not something a bullet can stop, and it is not something a talisman can protect against. The threat is paranoia. The moment everyone knows there is a cannibal among them, trust evaporates. And when trust is gone, the law of the jungle is all that remains. There are strong hints that the box, which we thought was gone for good, will return, but this time it will not be for criminals. It will be for anyone suspected of starting to change or beginning to hear the voices. Boyd is standing at a moral crossroads. Does he lock people away to protect the town? Or does he allow them to destroy each other? The look in Boyd's eyes at the end of the trailer says he has made peace with the idea that justice has no place in Fromville, and that the only path to survival now is absolute ruthlessness. Which brings us to the final warning. Who is the monster, and who is the myth? The title of Myths and Monsters did not come from nowhere. The myths tell us this place was a laboratory, an ancient experiment conducted on the human soul. The monsters are the result. The final warning the trailer closes on says, "No one will come back from this journey." That is not a line meant to scare you. That is a visual truth. The journey that Victor and Boyd are about to take into the deep forest in this episode is what will finally reveal the true face of the man in yellow. Or is he simply an observer who records the failure of human beings every 40 years? The revelation we are going to close with is this. The forest is not a prison. The forest is a mirror. It shows you the most grotesque version of yourself. And if you stare into it too long, you will no longer be able to find your way back to your own humanity. Finally, I have the final question for the DramaCrypt army. In the end, of Myths and Monsters is the true test for everyone left standing in this town. Can they break this cursed cycle? Or will the man in yellow win this bet again? If you are part of the DramaCrypt army, the question for you today is a difficult one. If you were in Boyd's position, and you found out that one of your neighbors had consumed a body in order to survive, would you lock them in the box and execute them? Or would you forgive them because it was the place itself that made them do it? Leave your terrifying theories in the comments below. Do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because the next video will be a complete breakdown of episode 5 and everything that is going to happen at the lake. Watch yourselves out there, and do not open the door, no matter how sad the sound outside seems to be. I will see you in the next video.